So Omarion and Azealia Banks both sacrificed chicken and watermelons in the efforts to get their careers back on track. But when it comes to severely lacking self-awareness, these two artists need to take a step back. Let's discuss. Testing. 1, 2, 3. We're here to talk about the lack of singing ability. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Beasley here. Hope you all are staying cool, calm, and collected out there. I'm coming at you guys today with a hot topic mashup video. I want to discuss the tragic, oh so tragic versus battle that was on display this past weekend, as well as the problem with Omarion and B2K, and why Azealia Banks can't seem to get out of her own way. So let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? So starting off with this versus battle, now to keep it all the way real with you guys, I don't really care about versus battles. Like, the only verses I care about are in the gay community. But I will say, this past weekend, the versus battle was on display, and it was Omarion versus Mario. You know, it was like a big callback to the early, basically my era of R&B music. The R&B music, the male R&B singers that I was introduced to. Now, y'all, I will say, for the most part, Mario has it and still got it, and I've never understood why that man didn't blow up and wasn't as big as he was back in the day. Like, I loved Mario, but he was always pushed to the background. Like, he wasn't as prominent as, like, Omarion was, or B2K, or Sammy, or any other, like, R&B singer that was popping at that time. For some reason, he was just always in the background and always overlooked. But baby, Mario did not come to play, and he sung the entire house down. Like, literally the entire house. He sung it all the way down to the ground, sung everybody down to the ground. Like, he showed up and completely showed out. And another person that also didn't get enough clout back in the day was Sammy. Y'all, when I tell you, I loved Sammy from day one. Like, Sammy was like one of my first crushes in life. Like, when he came out with I Like It, I was just like, ugh. Like, Sammy is dope. He still has it, and you can tell he's trying to come out and show, basically kind of show, like, why he was in the industry from the first place. Because for some reason, whenever he got older, I think around, like, I want to say, like, when he turned, like, 14 years old, he, like, went to school, went to college, didn't really focus on music, and disappeared. And he tried to make a comeback after he graduated from college, and he just did not pop after that. Like, he did not pop as a teenager or as an adult. So I don't know what it is, but you could tell he was trying to get a contract, baby, at this whole entire thing that was on display. But y'all, as much as it pains me to say, those two were the only ones that had their vocals on display, because everybody else, I was just like, whoo, baby. Like, let me start by saying that each and every man on that stage, I am/was a fan of growing up. Like everybody was doing the damn thing back in the day, back in the early 2000s. But, woo, baby. Before I go all the way in, I want to give the benefit of the doubt because, you know, I've had vocal training before. Shout out to Dr. Rock, Jolie Rock. I'm coming back to you, girl, and I get my coins back up. But when it comes to vocal training, you have to constantly train those vocals in order for you to maintain and also upgrade the vocals that you already have. Keyword, maintain. And the sheer fact is, a lot of these men that were on the stage were not practicing or training their vocals consistently like they need to, especially ahead of the time. Like, you could practice 2 weeks before you're about to do a little concert, and you can tell that none of them did that. Like, y'all, this versus battle was literally a dick measuring contest, and the biggest dick was 7 inches, because baby, when I tell you, Ray J got on that stage and flopped. Jeremiah flopped really hard. Bobby Valentino, I was surprised he didn't sound good. And who else was on there? Like, Omarion, I'm very surprised that Omarion did not sound good, y'all. I was just like, what the hell? And I forgot to mention Pleasure P. Pleasure P was one of the few that sounded good, and it's alleged that him and Ray J got into a fight behind the scenes, but it is what it is. These men did not sound good. I'm really surprised because I've been to both Millennium tours, And, you know, Mario and both Omarion and the rest of B2K were on the first Millennium Tour. And then on the second Millennium Tour, Omarion was the headliner when, and honestly and truthfully, he didn't really need to be, because let's keep it real. Like, Omarion, he sounded decent during his whole entire set at the second Millennium Tour. He did. But however, when I tell you the crowd sat down the entire set, like everybody sat down for Omarion's entire set. Nobody was clapping. I even saw one person like dead asleep in the crowd, y'all. Like literally like a few rows before me was just like dead sleep, snoring. I felt bad for Omarion, but he did not sound bad during his set. And you know, it's kind of crazy because Omarion, he has a bunch of self-importance. We're going to get into that, but he has like a very inflated sense of self, thinking that he should be the headliner when really everybody started to wake up again when Bow Wow came on after him. And I'm not gonna lie, Mario, he's immensely talented, but during that first Millennium Tour as well, everybody in the Houston audience was sitting down for his set too. Like Omarion, he could sing, but it was just boring. Like, it was just a boring set. Like, y'all may not take my word for it because he did a great job at the Versus battle, but during that first Millennium Tour, Mario's set was sleep-inducing. Like, the vocals were there. He could still sing, of course, but it really put a lot of people to sleep. And I was really surprised at the, like, shakiness of Bobby Valentino, because on the first Millennium Tour, Bobby Valentino sung the house down. Bobby Valentino was like the best actor of the night, in my opinion, on that very first Millennium Tour. But for some reason tonight, like he just, I don't know, y'all. Like, I feel like these men really expose R&B, male R&B from the 2000s, because, you know, we all talk about how my generation, we had the best of the best in terms of music, but after looking at that concert, it was like, did we really?
Yeah, I think it sounds crazy.
He's not. If we tried that, we could.
Hey.
Somewhere to climb.
I
It's
mean,
warm long as you were.
hey, yo, stop.
Come on.
Is this versus a
Baby, you got a body like a Benz.
I know they.
Have a fancy car, wish to have $1 million bucks.
Let's go.
Well, I wish I know being in love. So feel me, pretty baby. I make one wish and I wish it all on you. Making love to the break of dawn, me and you to the baby's born, till my baby's born.
Yo, sing, come on.
Till my baby's born, till my baby's born.
Like, y'all, I just cannot get over, like, the bad vocals that were on display. Like, I was really surprised. I was just like, are you guys serious? But overall, Mario completely, like, washed Omarion, blew him out of the water. I must say, I was proven wrong, because when this Versus battle was first announced, I thought Omarion had it in the bag, but baby, what he put on display was absolutely sad. But one thing that this Versus battle did was resurrect the beef between Omarion and B2K. You know, Mario actually started the show out with a little shade, bringing on 3 backup dancers posed as Raz B, J-Boog, and Lil Fizz. You know, the bandmates of B2K. That was immense shade. And, you know, the rest of them found it funny, but yet, I will say, like, after the whole entire Versus battle happened, the 3 of them, the 3 Stooges, actually got on their social media accounts, and each of them, except for maybe Raz B, shaded Omarion. And then Omarion hopped on his social media, and he said, he basically, like, clowned them, calling them his 3 backup dancers, saying that they always preyed on his downfall. After Omarion called them the 3 backup dancers, J-Boog and Lil Fizz responded, they shaded him. J-Boog went all the way in on him, and, you know, I didn't really have time to read all of it, but from what I could see, that it was very true. He basically said that Omarion was broke as I don't know what, broke as a joke. He begged J-Boog to go on that tour because he was penniless in 2018, blase blase, and Lil Fizz also said that he couldn't sing. You know, the people say that they actually wanted J-Boog to be the leader, but J-Boog fell back because, you know, Omarion back then had an inflated sense of self, and he wanted all the clout, and he wanted to be seen as the queen bee, basically. But y'all, seeing these grown men go back and forth, and seeing a group that I love just go back and forth like this, is just really sad to see. Like, the appeal of B2K is just completely shot. Like, it is just dead in the water. Like, these guys are never going to live right until they make amends. Like, it's the same situation with 3LW. Like, they all hate each other, but they all need to come to some form of understanding. But the issues with B2K run so much deeper because it's a lot of cheating, a lot of scandal, incest, molestation, like all that. Like, it's just a bunch of... It's really, B2K, the overall energy around them is just very dark. One thing I've noticed about Omarion though, Omarion always plays like he's this zen guy. He's just so unbothered when, boy, you are clearly bothered. For one, Mario had him bothered on stage. The fact that Omarion had to bring Tank out to help him sing, that bothered him as well. The fact that Mario really blew him out of the water, like, made him bothered as well. The fact that Mario talked shit and backed it up, and the fact that Omarion was exposed for his lack of singing ability really bothered him and shook him to the core. Like, it really humbled his ass, in my opinion. And like I said earlier, I've heard this man sing throughout my entire life, so it really surprised me that a lot of his vocals were done by other people, allegedly. And then coupled with the fact that he has a shady side to himself because he was probably one of the main reasons why B2K broke up. You know, it's alleged that him, Lil Fizz, J-Bug, and Raz B were all planning to leave. But then, you know, Omarion went ahead and he warned Chris Stokes. Chris Stokes. He went ahead and warned Chris Stokes. And then that's what caused a rift between them. They dropped the other three bandmates and they elevated Omarion as a solo artist. From what I hear, Raz B, Lil Fizz, and J-Bug were blacklisted in the industry after they got dropped from the label, got dropped from B2K. And Omarion, you see him thriving and surviving while everybody else had to go ahead and find their way. But then you can kind of side with Omarion because, you know, his beef with Lil Fizz. Lil Fizz always, Lil Fizz was the heartthrob of the group. Lil Fizz always had the woman, and he always took Omarion's woman. He took Jennifer Freeman, who, if you guys don't know who Jennifer Freeman is, she was a light-skinned, curly-haired girl in My Wife and Kids, and she was also in the B2K movie, You Got Served. And then also, fast forward all the way to maybe like a few years ago, Lil Fizz took April Jones from Omarion. So it's a lot of backstabbing going on, and then the issues with Chris Stokes allegedly like touching all of them, especially like most notably Raz B. And then on top of that, J-Bug was sleeping around, allegedly sleeping with Omarion's mom. Like, it is just a lot of bad blood and a lot of... I'm sorry I'm laughing, y'all, but it's just a lot of animosity between these group members, and who knows if it's ever going to be right again. So moving on to Azealia Banks. Azealia Banks was in the headlines once again for getting in her own way once again. You know, Beyonce came out with that song, Break My Soul, and in my last video on Beyonce's song, I did say that, like, I wish Azealia Banks played the game better because, you know, she was always the one person that was mixing rap with house music, and she was getting clowned for it, but now everybody's praising Beyonce and Drake for basically doing what Azealia Banks has been doing this whole entire time. And fast forwarding today, Azealia Banks responded and she had the following to say.
Okay, I'm sorry, but this is really fucking creepy. Like, Beyonce has been trying to write me out of my own narrative for like years at this point. Like, this is so fucking weird. So, early Azealia Banks records. Okay, so what are you trying to do? Are you trying to encapsulate my music in time and say, like, you know, like it's vintage or something, as if I'm not, as if my last three releases have not whipped your ass? Like, are you kidding? As if I'm not showing like major versatility and all of that. Like, you want me to not be Yamaya so fucking badly. Like, you want it to be Solange, you want it to be like Chloe Bailey, like you do a Little Mermaid movie and you don't include Azealia Banks. Like, oh my fucking god, you're a joke. You're trying to erase my contributions to like house music, dance music, electronic music, and all of that, and like, you're a fucking creep. You're a fucking creep, Beyonce. you're a fucking creep, and you like watch everything I do.
So y'all, let me just say this. I am a big Azealia Banks fan. I have loved her from day one when she hopped on the scene with the 212. Like, Azealia Banks is a dope artist, immensely talented person, but she is the Kaya of this generation. Both good and bad qualities of Kaya Shimon, that is what Azealia Banks possesses. Azealia Banks would be the queen of rap right now, especially after Nicki Minaj. Azealia Banks really would have been leading the girls because she is an original artist and really could have carved out her own lane. Like, she was carving out her own lane, but that lane always got blocked due to her own mouth. It's that mouth that gets her messed up every single time. One thing about me, I hate seeing people that are almost there, but yet they get in their own way and self-sabotage their success and progress each and every time, and that's what Azealia Banks does. Now, she wasn't really making much sense in this whole entire rant, but I can decipher craziness, and she was kind of alluding to the fact that Beyonce is not original, and Beyonce's kind of like jacking her swag and trying to take her out of her own lane. Now, has Beyonce stolen in the past? Yes, she has, but she was giving props to you. There was an article from the Jasmine brand that dropped with somebody in Beyonce's camp confirmed that Beyonce listened to a lot of artists in order for her to get inspiration for her new song Break My Soul and also her new album, and she listed Azealia Banks as being one of the main artists that she listened to. Early Azealia Banks, like, she was loving her music and vibing with her music, and that is a shout out to you, Azealia. But yet once again, you get in your own way and go off at the mouth for no reason. Beyonce gave you a shout out. Now, whether you want to admit it or not, Beyonce is one of the biggest artists of our time. And my thing is, Azealia, for once, why can't you just ride the wave? Why can't you just ride the wave of the little clout that you're getting behind your name and your artistry? I don't get why Azealia can't just make the music and make the money and just ride with the little bit of buzz that you've been given, girl. Like, you get in your way and you thwart your opportunities every single time. Like, she is literally the baby of Kanye West and Kaya Shimon, but at least Kanye West used his mental illness to get some damn dollars and some money and get some like attention that he feeds back into his artistry, his rollouts, his fashion shows, his shoes, all, you name it. He uses his craziness for $1. Why can't you do the same thing? Like, y'all, it sucks trying to put people onto her music, but yet they get distracted by her attitude and her rants and her antics. Now, I will say sometimes when she rants, she makes a lot of sense. Like, Azealia Banks is my problematic fave. Like, I can decipher the shit that she says, but overall, girl, you just come off crazy to the overall public. Azealia, if you don't want to play the game, that's fine. I completely understand. Like, I suggest you play the game because you have a lot of talent behind your name, but I understand there's a lot of bullshit and fuck shit that goes on in the industry. You know, she's been like beat up and punched and disrespected by Russell Crowe. She's had vultures around her. She's had people also like jocking her swag, stealing her style. And also when she came out, there was a lot of immense competition and comparisons between her and Iggy Azalea. So, you know, I get all that. But girl, like, you just put everything to a stop when you can use this credibility and clout to get you back to the top. Y'all, I really want so much for this girl. Like, I just see how talented she is. I love her music. I loved her when she was acting in her movie Love Beats Rhymes. I see the best in her, but I can't continue to want the best for her when she doesn't want the best for herself. Like, every single time she's like on a solid foundation, she just blows it. Like, she just messes it up, and that's her own doing. Like, I love Azealia Banks. I will support you any way that I can, but you will always seem to always get in your own way, girl, and it's just really sad to see at this point. But you'll tighten up whenever that money runs up. But those are my views. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to come back at you guys with some more content.